We've been building our offense so far, and today we're going to finally start changing formations.
We're not going to get a second chance in the game.
Thanks for joining me. We are building our offensive playbook. This might be the first time you've built an offense. As I say often, these videos are really made for those youth or newer coaches, but I do think that everybody could benefit. It's just sitting and talking ball and thinking through what we like to do and why we like to do it. I think the why you do it is a really important question that a good coach constantly asks himself. Before we jump in, I have to tell you this weekend we've got a webinar coming for our members. So thank you guys that have been members. The webinar this weekend is on Pass Pro. It's a Pass Pro study. Got 4 excellent high school coaches coming in from good programs, and they're going to teach you about Pass Pro. So thank you, members, and be sure to check it out. All of our members can access the live Pass Pro study. That's this Saturday at 10 a.m. And then all members touchdown and above can access the webinar's recordings. So be sure to click that join button and look into the possibility of joining. Huge thanks to these guys. That's a list of our most recent members. We're so excited to have people that love football, love coaching, and want to keep studying. Back to the video. Today we're changing formations, but I want to emphasize that word why. We want to know why we will want to change formations. I believe that the reason of we want to just confuse the defense is a little bit too generic of a reason, and it just doesn't benefit us enough to change just to confuse them. Because the reality is, when we change, it changes things for our kids too, and our kids could be just as confused. Let's look at the whiteboard and let me show you what I'm talking about. If we spend 90% or more maybe of our practice time with this look up front. Now, we're going from the I formation. This is just the first offensive playbook I built with you guys, but you, again, might be building from a different look, but that's okay. Still, use this as your example. We spend 90% of our practice blocking things out of this look. Tight end to the left. I got a certain kid at left tackle and a certain kid at right tackle. They spend all of their time there. Everyone knows how to do our offense from this look. So if I like to run power left, which in this playbook we drew up, this was my number one play. If I change this tight end over to here and still run power left, just for the sake of confusing them, well, things have changed for my tackle. See, now he is so used to 90% of the time he runs power with this tackle this tight end right here next to him. Now all of a sudden that tight end's gone. All right, now you might say, oh, that's such a tiny difference. But if that kid is used to working with the tight end, and when he sees a guy right on his outside shoulder, he knows he's getting double team help or whatever your rules are for your power play. Now with that guy gone, something has changed for him, and he has to be aware of that. So don't underestimate how easy it is to confuse your own kids and how much of football and moving the football is about 11 guys knowing their job and making 0 mistakes on one play. When you get 11 guys together, the odds of at least one of them making a mistake can be pretty high. So you've got to be aware of that. So instead of changing just to confuse someone, let's look at some reasons why we might want to change formation, or at least 3 reasons that I think are good reasons to start considering to change a formation. The first reason, and I'm going to say the easiest and maybe the best, overall best, if I had to choose one reason to change formations, it would be to get a numbers advantage. The easiest way to move the football is finding a numbers advantage, right? Instead of playing 2-on-2, let's play 3-on-2. So to start, as we look for reasons to change formation, I want to start looking at formation changes by not touching anything here. I don't want to touch these interior guys. This is the meat and potatoes of my formation, and I want to touch it as little as possible. So let's see what we can do with moving the other guys around. First thing I want to do to get a numbers advantage in my offense is I want to run X over. Now, X over, and you could give it a special name for yourselves. Most commonly, I just use over. I take this X and he lines up just outside of that tight end. That's my favorite place to put him. But you could move him all the way out and let him be a true wide receiver out here, and it would look like tight end plus twins out here. For now, let's put him outside of the tight end. I think it's the best place to put him. Now, by moving this X over, all of your interior has stayed the same, so all these kids see the same thing. You teach this tight end, listen, you play football as if this X is not there, and you give this X this rule on all blocking plays, all running plays. You block the first man outside of you, and if there's no one outside of you, first man on you. So in this case, he would go to block this man here. So here we go. In the middle of a game, you're playing against kids. These are young high school kids possibly, or maybe they're 12-year-olds or 10-year-olds. It is difficult for them to pick up that you have changed the numbers on them. So they might, a lot of teams, this happens so often, even at the high school level, all they do is this corner comes in, and you know you want to attack right here. So now all of a sudden in power, this X's rules, first man outside, he goes to block this man. That's the man that used to be the kick out man for power. You're running power here on the interior still. Here comes the fullback to kick out, and that guy's already taken care of. If your X is good, he might be truly taken care of, and he can move on and up. Or maybe the X falls off the block, which happens a lot, and now at least this kick out has happened later, right? Maybe that guy was way up in here normally, and the kick out was happening here, and we had a tiny little lane to run through. Now all of a sudden, this X delays him, even though he falls off the block. Here comes this guy late, and now our lane to run power in has gotten bigger. So I get to change the numbers. Now it can also work to my advantage. Let's say, what if we run into a team that does pick it up and they shift everyone over? Well, the numbers have still changed. What you might find is that if you run power well and you get them to shift, now you run your X over and run your counter play back, and now the numbers backside for your counter have changed. You're just changing the numbers. That's all you want to do. You're trying to get a numbers advantage, and X over is a simple way to get a numbers advantage. Another quick way to get a numbers advantage, again, I could move this X all the way out here, or maybe I could take this fullback. Let's say I want to run toss. We're good at toss. These guys have not been picking up on when we change numbers, and when we drew up toss out of our base look, our fullback was going opposite. Well, we could have a little tag where the fullback lines up out here, maybe just behind the tackle, and now he gets involved and gets out front on toss as well. So we run our little fullback tag, our F out tag, and run toss right behind him, and we've added one more man to our toss play without messing with our interior. The second reason we might want to change formations is we could end up stressing a different defender, or we could move one of their defenders around. In this case, let's assume this man here is a really good football player. But we notice that if we will change, let's run twins to one side. We've changed the formation without messing with our interior. Things are the same for our best blockers. And we've moved this man over next to our X. And we now have twins over here. It's possible we even get a nice wide split to stretch things out. We know, they know that that kid is their best player, and they want him playing to the strength. Where's the most people? And we notice we can get them to move their best guy over here if we run the twins look. We've got them to move their best defender over to this side of the field, and now we can come back and run power at this. Twins also works as a numbers advantage. I could run twins. They make almost no shift because we've run twins. All they do is shuffle this corner in, and maybe the safety takes a step over. If that's all they do to twins, now I could run toss out here. I have a slight numbers advantage. I could run counter back here, and I have a slight numbers advantage. Or when I do something simple like twins, maybe they are over shifting to the twin side and I can run power back, and maybe this kid was the great defender that kept killing us on power, and I've gotten to move that safety over when I ran twins. So I can move or manipulate a really good defender by changing formations. Sometimes that same look I just showed can get a really good defender out of your way. The third and final reason we'll look at changing formations for today. Now, you can have a lot of reasons, but to me, these are the three best reasons to change formation and why you would start drawing up a formation. So before I decide what my next formation is going to be, I will decide which of these three problems I want a solution to. Do I want to find a numbers advantage? Am I going to change formation first to get a numbers advantage? Am I going to change formations first to attack a different defender? Or third and lastly, am I going to change formations to feature one of my best players? Let's use this Z, for example. We're going to highlight this Z blue, and we're going to know that as the season progresses possibly, or it's summertime, and I realize this kid is really good, I should try to get him the ball more. He's significantly better than the other receiver. He makes things happen when he touches the ball. So let's change the formation just to feature him. What might I do? Well, I could use any of the other formations, but let's talk realistically and give a real world example of a slight adjustment that gives us an advantage. So I know this Z, he's so good. So I'm going to cut his split down and put him at a wing. Now I'm going to run my same boot play. I'm going to give this a tag, right? The formation has a name. The tag has a name. I could cut his split down and run all of my offense, give him that same rule I told you before. Hey, when we cut you down into this split, if we run the ball, your rule is first man outside of you, and if there's no one outside of you, on you. Don't ever block down. We don't want you down in the mix. We don't want you to mess with our run rules. But the real reason I'm cutting them down here is to run this one play. I know that we've gotten pretty good at boot. Quarterback boots out. Both running backs are coming opposite side here. We're faking our best run play. And normally we run boot, and this tight end is my dragger. Well, this is a great route. It's open a lot. But in this scenario, my tight end is he's just a normal kid. He's a nice kid. I love him. But he can't do what this Z can do. The Z is the man. So we run boot and we tag it switch. And when we call switch, this Z is going to run the drag. And the Y is going to take his old route. That Z's old route was the post down the middle of the field. That's the route where my quarterback knows we don't throw that route. So now we're by changing formation, we've given ourselves an opportunity to give our best kid the ball. Now I'm going to run my best run action and boot my best play action pass, and I'm going to actually have open my best player on this play. Let's look at one other example. Notice that all these different formations I'm doing before I even think about flipping my tight end to the other side. So if I know this Z is really good and we're way over here on the left hash, let me get rid of that triangle. And I know I have a ton of field space open to the right. I could flip my whole formation, but let's be real. If you flip the whole formation, that's still a new formation. So instead, before you flip the whole formation, just move this Z way out here to the right. Put him outside of the X. Even let the X cut his split down just a little bit. And now you can run hitch to this man out here. This is obviously an easy install. No one's moving but the Z. You still got your best plays available to you right here. Teach the X to run vertical and wide. Maybe he'll even distract that corner and back him off. And now here comes your Z running that hitch that you've spent a lot of time on getting pretty good at. So there's a couple examples of why you might want to change formations for the reason of featuring one of your best players. So that's it. I hope that helps. The reason I think that this topic is so good, even for experienced coaches, is because all of us need to slow down and look at the offense we've put together and go, okay, I'm changing formations, but why? What advantage am I getting by changing? If you slow down and really look at your offense like this, sometimes you'll find that changing formations isn't getting you much of an advantage in certain situations. So why change it all? Thanks for joining me today. I hope you'll join us on Saturday. Myself and Coach Atkins out of Opelika, Alabama will kick things off at 9 a.m. talking Pass Pro. And then at 10 a.m., it'll become for members only, official webinar, so you members can enjoy that. Like and subscribe. I'll be back next week right here talking more football.